Don't scroll. Listen to this because your heart needs this right now. This message is for you. Your soulmate's last confession is about to change your future in a way neither of you expected. There is something they have been carrying inside their heart for a very long time, something they tried to ignore, something they tried to bury beneath responsibilities, fears, doubts, and distractions, but no matter how hard they tried, this truth continued to rise to the surface. Tonight, as you are hearing these words, an invisible shift is already taking place between your energy and theirs. You may not see it yet. You may not fully understand it yet. But your soul has already started feeling it. Your heart has already sensed that something important is approaching. For so long you wondered why certain memories would suddenly appear in your mind. You wondered why their name kept showing up in unexpected places. You wondered why certain songs, numbers, dreams, and signs seemed connected to them. The truth is that these were not random moments. They were signals. They were whispers from a connection that refused to disappear. Your soulmate has reached a point where silence is no longer comfortable. The feelings they once tried to hide have become too powerful to ignore. Every time they tried to move forward without acknowledging what they feel for you, something inside them pulled them back. Every time they convinced themselves that they should stay quiet, another memory of you appeared stronger than before. Every time they attempted to focus on other things, your presence somehow returned to their thoughts. Listen closely because what I am about to reveal is important. Their last confession is not simply about love. It is not simply about attraction. It is not simply about missing you. It is about realization. It is about understanding. It is about finally seeing what their heart has been trying to tell them all along. There was a moment recently when they sat alone, surrounded by their own thoughts, and for the first time they stopped running from the truth. In that moment they realized that every path they imagined for their future somehow led back to you. They realized that every version of happiness they dreamed about contained your presence. They realized that the connection they share with you cannot be replaced because it was never ordinary to begin with. This message is for you. Your soulmate remembers more than you think. They remember conversations you have forgotten. They remember little details that seemed insignificant at the time. They remember the way you made them feel seen when nobody else truly understood them. They remember the comfort of your energy. They remember the feeling of being themselves around you without fear of judgment. And now those memories are becoming impossible for them to ignore. The confession they are preparing to make is changing them from the inside out. For a long time fear controlled their decisions. Fear told them they might be rejected. Fear told them they might not be enough. Fear told them that taking a step toward you could change everything. But now they are beginning to understand something powerful. They are beginning to understand that staying silent is also changing everything. Every day they remain quiet feels heavier than the day before. Every day they avoid the truth creates more questions in their heart. Every day they hold back what they truly feel becomes more difficult. That is why the energy around this connection is shifting right now. The confession is no longer something they can keep locked away. It is growing stronger. It is becoming louder. It is demanding to be heard. Don't scroll. Listen to this because your heart needs this right now. There is a reason you found this message today. Your soulmate has been experiencing signs they cannot explain. Certain numbers keep appearing in front of them. Certain memories arrive unexpectedly. Certain dreams feel more real than reality itself. They may not fully understand what these signs mean, but they know one thing. Every sign somehow leads them back to thoughts of you. They have started asking themselves questions they avoided for a long time. What if this connection is real? What if these feelings are real? What if the future they keep imagining is trying to tell them something important? What if you are not simply someone from their past or present, but someone deeply connected to their destiny? These questions have begun changing the way they see everything. And now their confession is closer than ever before. The deeper truth is that your soulmate has reached an emotional crossroads. One path leads to more silence. The other path leads to honesty. One path allows fear to remain in control. The other path allows love to finally speak. And with every passing day they are moving closer to choosing honesty. They are moving closer to choosing courage. They are moving closer to choosing the future their heart truly wants. Your soulmate's last confession is not coming from a place of weakness. It is coming from a place of awakening. They are waking up to the reality that some connections enter your life for a reason. They are waking up to the reality that some people leave a mark on your soul that time cannot erase. They are waking up to the reality that no matter how far they travel or how busy life becomes, certain feelings remain unchanged. And you are one of those feelings. This message is for you. If you have been feeling emotional lately, if you have been thinking about them more than usual, if you have sensed unusual energy surrounding this connection, trust that feeling. Sometimes the soul notices changes before the mind understands them. Sometimes your intuition recognizes a shift long before physical evidence appears. And right now your intuition may already know what is coming. The confession they are preparing to make will not only change their future. It will change yours as well. Because once the truth is spoken, everything begins moving differently. Once the truth is revealed, clarity replaces confusion. Once the truth is acknowledged, the path ahead becomes easier to see. Your soulmate has spent too much time hiding what they truly feel. They have spent too much time pretending that certain emotions do not exist. But the heart has a way of revealing what the mind tries to conceal. The heart has a way of bringing hidden truths into the light. And that is exactly what is happening now. Something inside them is saying enough is enough. Something inside them is telling them that the future they want requires honesty. Something inside them is urging them to finally speak the words they have been carrying for so long. Listen closely because this part matters. Their confession is not only about how much they care about you. It is also about regret. Regret for the opportunities they missed. Regret for the words they never said. Regret for the moments when fear stopped them from expressing what their heart truly wanted. But instead of allowing regret to control them forever, they are choosing to learn from it. They are choosing to transform it into courage. They are choosing to let it push them toward action rather than silence. And that decision is creating powerful momentum. Your soulmate is beginning to realize that life moves quickly. Time passes whether we are ready or not. Opportunities come and go. Moments cannot always be repeated. And because of that realization, they no longer want to lose another chance to be honest about how they feel. They no longer want to look back years from now wondering what might have happened if they had spoken the truth. They want certainty. They want clarity. They want authenticity. Most of all, they want the freedom that comes from finally expressing what has been hidden in their heart. This message is for you. The future is not being written by fear anymore. The future is being shaped by truth. Your soulmate's last confession carries the energy of transformation. It carries the energy of endings and beginnings happening at the same time. An ending to silence. An ending to confusion. An ending to emotional hiding. And the beginning of honesty. The beginning of understanding. The beginning of a new chapter neither of you could fully see before. Stay with this message because your heart needs to hear this. The confession is closer than it has ever been. The walls they built are becoming weaker. The fears that controlled them are losing power. The truth is becoming stronger. And as that truth rises to the surface, so does the possibility of a future that once seemed impossible. Your soulmate may not know every detail of what comes next. They may not have every answer. But they know one thing with absolute certainty. They cannot keep pretending their feelings do not exist. They cannot keep ignoring the connection they feel with you. They cannot keep running from the truth. And when that realization fully settles into their heart, everything changes. That is why this confession is so important. It is not just a confession. It is a turning point. It is the moment when fear loses its grip and truth takes its place. It is the moment when the future begins moving in a different direction. It is the moment that opens the door to possibilities neither of you expected. And as this energy continues unfolding, remember this one thing above all else. Your story is not over. The connection is not finished. The chapter you thought had ended may actually be preparing for its most important beginning. Your soulmate's last confession is closer than you think, and when the truth finally arrives, it will change far more than a single moment. It will change the future itself. 6 Don T. Scroll. Listen to this because your heart needs this right now. The moment after your soulmate's confession is the part nobody talks about. Everyone focuses on the words, everyone focuses on the revelation, everyone focuses on the shock of hearing the truth, but very few people understand what happens after those words leave their lips. What happens next is the reason this confession carries so much power. Because once a truth has been spoken, it can never return to silence. Once a heart reveals what it has hidden for so long, everything begins to move differently. Your soulmate knows this. Deep down they understand that the moment they finally reveal everything, there will be no going back to the version of themselves that stayed quiet. That is why they have waited so long. That is why they have wrestled with their emotions. That is why they have spent countless nights thinking about you, imagining conversations that never happened, replaying memories that refuse to fade, and wondering whether destiny is trying to bring the two of you closer together. Listen closely because something important is happening behind the scenes. While you have been living your life, growing, healing, and searching for answers, your soulmate has been changing in ways you cannot yet see. The person they were months ago is not the same person they are becoming now. Experiences have shaped them. Challenges have humbled them. Losses have taught them lessons they never expected to learn. And through every change, one truth remained. Thoughts of you never completely disappeared. No matter how much time passed, no matter how many distractions entered their world, there was always something pulling them back toward your energy. There was always a feeling they could not explain. There was always a question lingering in the back of their mind. What if the connection they feel with you was never meant to be forgotten? What if every attempt to move on was actually leading them back to the realization they were trying to avoid? This message is for you. Your soulmate has reached a stage where the signs have become impossible to ignore. They keep noticing strange coincidences. They keep hearing things that remind them of you. They keep seeing reminders of moments you shared. Even when they try to focus on something else, your presence somehow appears again. A song starts playing. A familiar phrase appears. A dream feels so real that they wake up thinking about you for the rest of the day. These experiences are creating an awakening inside them. Little by little, the walls they built around their heart are beginning to crack. The defenses they once relied on are losing strength. The excuses they once believed no longer feel convincing. And now the truth is standing directly in front of them, asking to be acknowledged. The deeper truth is that your soulmate has been carrying a confession within their soul for far longer than they realize. It began as a feeling. Then it became a thought. Then it became a realization. And now it is becoming a decision. A decision to stop hiding. A decision to stop pretending. A decision to finally honor what their heart has known all along. They have started imagining what life would feel like if they told you everything. They have imagined the relief that would come from no longer carrying this secret alone. They have imagined the freedom that comes from honesty. They have imagined the possibility that the future they secretly dream about might actually be within reach. These thoughts are becoming stronger every day. They are becoming impossible to silence. And that is why this confession is drawing closer with each passing moment. Don't scroll. Listen to this because your heart needs this right now. There is something your soulmate wants you to know, even if they have not spoken it yet. They want you to know that your impact on their life has been far greater than you realize. You changed something inside them. You awakened something inside them. You made them see themselves differently. Even during periods when communication was limited or circumstances created distance, the influence of your presence never completely disappeared. There were moments when they felt alone and somehow thoughts of you brought comfort. There were moments when they felt lost and memories of you brought clarity. There were moments when life became overwhelming and simply remembering you gave them strength. That is not something they can easily forget. That is not something they can easily replace. That is why their confession carries so much emotional weight. Because it is not just about what they feel now. It is about everything they have felt but never fully expressed. It is about every emotion they kept hidden. It is about every moment they wished they had said more. It is about every opportunity they let slip away because fear convinced them to stay silent. But fear is losing its power. Fear cannot survive forever in the presence of truth. Eventually truth becomes too strong. Eventually the heart becomes too loud. Eventually the desire for honesty becomes greater than the desire for safety. Your soulmate is approaching that point now. They are beginning to understand that the future they want requires courage. It requires vulnerability. It requires the willingness to take a risk. And for the first time in a long time, they are considering that risk seriously. This message is for you. If your heart has been restless lately, there may be a reason. If you have felt unusual emotional waves, there may be a reason. If thoughts of your soulmate have appeared unexpectedly, there may be a reason. Energy often moves before physical events occur. The soul often senses change before the eyes can see it. And right now change is moving through this connection. Something is shifting. Something is awakening. Something is preparing to emerge from the shadows into the light. Your soulmate's confession is not simply a conversation waiting to happen. It is the culmination of countless emotions, lessons, realizations, and experiences. It represents everything they have learned about themselves and everything they have discovered about their feelings for you. They are no longer asking whether the connection is meaningful. They already know it is. They are no longer asking whether you matter to them. They already know you do. The only question remaining is whether they are ready to speak their truth openly. And with each passing day, the answer is becoming clearer. They are moving closer to yes. They are moving closer to action. They are moving closer to the moment that changes everything. Listen closely because there is one more truth hidden beneath all the others. Your soulmate's confession is not only changing them. It is changing the future that exists between the two of you. Every realization they experience creates new possibilities. Every fear they release creates new opportunities. Every step they take toward honesty opens a door that was previously closed. The future is responding to their growth. The future is responding to their courage. The future is responding to their willingness to face the truth. And because of that, the path ahead is beginning to look very different from the path behind. The chapter of uncertainty is nearing its end. The chapter of revelation is approaching. The chapter of truth is beginning to unfold. Stay with this message because what comes next may be the most important part of all. The confession itself is powerful, but the transformation it creates is even more powerful. Because when two souls finally stop hiding from the truth, an entirely new story becomes possible. And that story is closer now than it has ever been before. To be continued. Don't scroll. Listen to this because your heart needs this right now. The closer your soulmate gets to speaking their truth, the more intense everything becomes inside them. What once felt like a quiet feeling has now become a constant presence. It follows them through their mornings, stays with them during their busiest hours, and returns to them in the silence of the night. They can no longer pretend that these emotions are temporary. They can no longer convince themselves that time will simply make everything disappear. In fact, the opposite has happened. The more time passes, the clearer their feelings become. The more they try to understand what is happening inside their heart, the more they realize that you have become a part of their future in ways they never expected. This message is for you. There have been moments recently when your soulmate stopped whatever they were doing and found themselves thinking about you without warning. A memory appeared. A feeling returned. A question surfaced in their mind. They wondered where you were. They wondered what you were feeling. They wondered whether you still think about them the way they think about you. These thoughts have become impossible to ignore because they carry an emotional weight unlike anything else in their life. They have started noticing that no matter how many new experiences they have, no matter how many people they meet, no matter how much their world changes, there is still something about you that remains unmatched. There is still something about this connection that feels unfinished. There is still a part of their soul searching for answers that only honesty can provide. Listen closely because the deeper truth is finally rising to the surface. Your soulmate has begun replaying moments from the past with completely different eyes. Situations they once misunderstood now make sense. Conversations they once overlooked now seem important. Signs they once dismissed now feel meaningful. It is as though pieces of a puzzle are slowly coming together inside their heart. They are realizing that many of the things they once called coincidences may have been guiding them toward a larger understanding all along. And that understanding leads directly back to you. The confession they are preparing is not a sudden decision. It is the result of countless realizations building over time. Every memory added a piece. Every dream added a piece. Every emotional moment added a piece. Every sign added a piece. And now the picture is becoming clear enough that they can no longer look away from it. Your soulmate is beginning to understand that some people enter your life and leave memories. Others enter your life and leave lessons. But a very rare few enter your life and change the direction of your heart forever. That is how they see you now. Not as someone temporary. Not as someone easily forgotten. But as someone who transformed them in ways they are only now beginning to understand. Don't scroll. Listen to this because your heart needs this right now. There is something your soulmate has never fully admitted, even to themselves. They have compared others to you. Not because they wanted to, but because it happened naturally. They searched for the same comfort they felt with you. They searched for the same understanding. They searched for the same emotional connection. Yet every comparison led them back to the same realization. What they experienced with you was different. What they felt with you was deeper. What existed between the two of you carried a meaning they could not find elsewhere. This realization frightened them at first because it forced them to confront the truth. The truth that moving forward without acknowledging their feelings was becoming harder than facing those feelings directly. The truth that silence was no longer protecting them. The truth that honesty was becoming necessary. And now they stand at a point where the future itself seems to be asking them a question. Will they continue hiding from what they feel? Or will they finally step into the truth their heart has been carrying all along? This message is for you. The answer is getting closer every day. There are moments when your soulmate imagines what would happen if they finally told you everything. They imagine the relief. They imagine the freedom. They imagine no longer carrying this emotional weight alone. But more than anything, they imagine the possibility of finally being understood. Because beneath all their fears lies one simple desire. They want you to know the truth. They want you to understand how much this connection has meant to them. They want you to know that despite everything that happened, despite every obstacle, despite every delay, their feelings never completely disappeared. In fact, those feelings became stronger precisely because they spent so much time trying to ignore them. The heart has a strange way of revealing what truly matters. The things that are not meant for us eventually fade away. But the things that belong to our soul remain. They persist. They return. They refuse to be forgotten. And your soulmate is finally beginning to see that you are one of those rare connections that refuses to fade. Listen closely because the energy surrounding this confession is reaching a turning point. The fears that once controlled them are losing strength. The doubts that once clouded their vision are beginning to clear. The emotional walls they built are becoming weaker. And behind those walls stands a truth that has been waiting patiently to be spoken. A truth that says you mattered more than they admitted. A truth that says you changed them more than they realized. A truth that says their future feels incomplete without at least trying to follow what their heart is telling them. This message is for you. If you have been seeing repeated signs lately, if certain numbers keep appearing, if dreams have felt unusually vivid, if your intuition has been whispering that something important is approaching, trust those feelings. Sometimes the soul recognizes movement before the mind catches up. Sometimes the heart feels the approaching wave before it reaches the shore. And right now a powerful wave of truth is moving through this connection. Your soulmate's confession is no longer a distant possibility. It is becoming an inevitability. Not because anyone is forcing it. Not because circumstances demand it. But because the truth has reached a point where remaining hidden feels impossible. The closer they get to this moment, the more they realize that their greatest fear was never rejection. Their greatest fear was losing the chance to be honest. Their greatest fear was reaching the future and wondering forever what might have happened if they had spoken from their heart. And that fear is now becoming the fuel that pushes them forward. Stay with this message because what happens next changes everything. The confession is approaching. The silence is ending. The truth is preparing to emerge. And when it finally does, your soulmate will reveal something they have carried through sleepless nights, emotional battles, unexpected signs, and countless memories. They will reveal the secret that has been quietly shaping their heart all this time. And when that final truth is spoken, neither of your lives will ever look exactly the same again. To be continued. Don't scroll. Listen to this because your heart needs this right now. This is the final part of the message. This is the moment everything has been leading toward. This is the moment where the silence that surrounded your soulmate's heart finally reaches its end. For so long they carried these feelings in private. For so long they convinced themselves that keeping everything hidden was the safest choice. For so long they believed that time would somehow make the emotions disappear. But time did not erase what they felt. Time revealed it. Time strengthened it. Time showed them that the connection they tried to ignore was one of the most important experiences of their life. And now they can no longer deny what their heart has known all along. This message is for you. The final confession your soulmate is preparing to make is simpler than you might expect, yet more powerful than anything they have ever said. Beneath all the fears, all the doubts, all the delays, and all the confusion, there is one truth that remains. They never truly stopped caring about you. No matter how much life changed, no matter how many distractions appeared, no matter how many times they tried to convince themselves otherwise, a part of their heart continued carrying your presence. They continued wondering about you. They continued remembering you. They continued feeling a connection they could not explain. And eventually that truth became impossible to ignore. Listen closely because this matters. Your soulmate finally understands that the greatest mistake they could make is allowing fear to speak louder than love. They have spent enough time imagining worst-case scenarios. They have spent enough time worrying about things that may never happen. They have spent enough time allowing uncertainty to control their decisions. Now they are beginning to realize that life is too precious to spend hiding from the truth. Life is too short to leave important words unspoken. Life is too valuable to let fear steal opportunities that may never come again. That realization has changed them. It has transformed the way they see the future. It has transformed the way they see you. Most importantly, it has transformed the way they see themselves. The deeper truth is that your soulmate's final confession is not only about their feelings for you. It is also about the person they have become because of this connection. They have learned patience. They have learned humility. They have learned courage. They have learned that real emotions cannot be forced away simply because they are inconvenient. They have learned that the heart has its own wisdom. And through all those lessons, they discovered something remarkable. They discovered that some connections are worth fighting for. Some connections are worth believing in. Some connections are worth taking a risk for. And in their heart, you became one of those connections. This message is for you. The future that once seemed uncertain is beginning to take shape. Not because every obstacle has disappeared. Not because every question has been answered. But because truth creates clarity. When people stop hiding from what they feel, they begin seeing possibilities they could not see before. When they stop running from their emotions, they discover new paths opening in front of them. Your soulmate is standing at the beginning of one of those paths now. They are no longer focused on what could go wrong. They are beginning to focus on what could go right. They are no longer asking whether they should follow their heart. They are beginning to ask where their heart is leading them. And every answer points toward the same place. Every answer points toward honesty. Every answer points toward truth. Every answer points toward you. Don't scroll. Listen to this because your heart needs this right now. There is one final thing your soulmate wants you to know. If they could sit in front of you at this very moment and speak without fear, they would tell you that you mattered during moments when you thought they had forgotten. They would tell you that your impact reached deeper than you realized. They would tell you that your kindness, your energy, your presence, and your memory remained with them even during times when circumstances kept them silent. They would tell you that many of the answers you searched for were hidden behind fears they were still learning how to overcome. Most of all, they would tell you that the story was never as finished as it appeared. Because while you were both moving through your own journeys, something was still growing beneath the surface. Something was still evolving. Something was still waiting for the right moment to emerge. And now that moment is drawing closer. Listen closely, because this is the final revelation. The confession that is about to change your future is not just the words themselves. The real power lies in what those words represent. They represent healing after uncertainty. They represent courage after fear. They represent honesty after silence. They represent a new beginning after a long period of waiting. Whether the path ahead unfolds quickly or slowly, one thing is clear. The energy around this connection is no longer moving backward. It is moving forward. The lessons have been learned. The realizations have arrived. The truth has awakened. And now the future is responding. This message is for you. If you have stayed until this final moment, take this as a reminder that your story is still being written. The chapter you are living now is not the final chapter. There are still pages waiting to be turned. There are still surprises waiting to unfold. There are still truths waiting to be revealed. And somewhere within those pages is a version of your future that is being shaped by courage, honesty, and the willingness to follow what feels real. Your soulmate's final confession has already begun changing them from the inside out. Soon, the truth they have carried for so long will no longer belong only to their heart. Soon, the words they have rehearsed in silence will finally be spoken. Soon, the secret they tried to hide will become impossible to contain. And when that moment arrives, it will not simply mark the end of a confession. It will mark the beginning of an entirely new chapter. A chapter where fear no longer controls the story. A chapter where truth finally has a voice. A chapter where possibilities replace uncertainty. A chapter where the future begins to unfold in ways neither of you could have imagined. And that, my beloved soul, is why this confession is about to change everything. The ending you feared was never the real ending. It was only the doorway to a new beginning. The silence is ending. The truth is rising. The future is opening. And the next chapter starts now. The message is complete.